Part 4, Chapter 12. Just the Essentials. Troll Prime lies halfway between Malcor and the Harith system, as good a place as any to stop and do some shopping. The black market there is thriving, which is a good thing since that's where Maxim's shopping list will take them. Gabe's shopping list is easier and more straightforward and considerably shorter. As they cruise through the clouds over Troll Prime, atmospheric engines roaring, Will addresses the team. Okay, guys, here's the deal. We're scraping the bottom of the ship's accounts again. Lorath didn't get around to paying. Not that she necessarily would have anyway. I doubt anyone is gonna be handing out credits in the Harith system, so bargain hard, bargain like your life depends on it. Because it might if we can't get some credits in the account after this. Gabe, you take Benny. According to Zephyr, he's a born negotiator. Will nods to the Braylac, who's beaming. Zephyr, Maxim, and I will hit the night market and get the weapons and parts to repair the ship's tactical systems. Questions? No one says a thing. Good. Then let's do this. Faster we're done, faster we're on our way to Harith. Everyone nods. You know I sprung you two thinking it was just a jab at the peacekeepers. Now I'm thinking karma's a bitch. Gabe leans forward from his spot by the door. Who is Karma? The spaceport they touch down in is one of the larger ports on the planet. Will has already identified the night market where they can get their weapon systems components. The Ghost may be more or less legitimately owned, but that doesn't change the fact that munitions of the type she uses are hard for non-military personnel to get their hands on. The night market is their best bet, home to just about everything a being could want, from drugs, weapons, technology, sex, and slaves, to things beyond normal comprehension. Will rarely visits night markets. For one thing, going alone is a dangerous proposition. For another, they're so full of things Will doesn't understand and doesn't want to be a part of, he'd rather not get involved with any of it. Add to that there are slaves. Easier to just not see that stuff. Walking down the boarding ramp, Will takes a last look at everyone. Okay, remember, get only what we absolutely need. Then get back here. Benny and Gabe, the tech sector is out the main gates. To the right. Gabe, keep an active comm link with the rest of us, and if you hear me say run, stop what you're doing and get back to the Ghost as fast as you can. The tall bot and the tiny hacker nod, and then head off on their errand. Will turns to Zephyr and Maxim. Okay, you two, let's get this done. Every spaceport and shopping district in the galaxy has a night market. Some are no more than 2 shabby stalls, some are square blocks or kilometers wide. Despite their size, they're often still not obvious to those not looking. Hidden behind dull and vague storefronts or underground and abandoned caverns, knowing how to spot and enter a night market is a skill unto itself. Right now, Will walks towards what looks like a stall selling fabric. Grabbing a bolt of dark blue fabric, he asks the shopkeeper, "Does this come in a darker shade?" The shopkeep, an aging Partherian woman, looks at Will, then at the 2X peacekeepers, then reaches under the cash register. A section of wall behind her opens. Bolts of fabric draped over the seam make it impossible to see the door until it's open. Will hands her the bolt of fabric and walks in. Zephyr and Maxim follow. On the display screen mounted in the corner of the shop, the screen cuts to a GNO broadcast. If you're just joining us, things out on the frontier are getting heated. The warring Harith factions have again let their conflict spill outside their system, as the rebels harassing the legitimate government of Harith Prime have once again attacked the Zengar. This time, a deep space station on the outer edge of the Zengar system has been bombed. This is another violation of the sovereign borders of the Zengar and risks GC intervention. Already, the GC has deployed 4 peacekeeper carriers to the system, with more promised should the need arise. GNO will keep you up to date on this developing situation. This is Monel Farash with GNO. The night market. Every night market is different. Some are close to respectable looking, others are dark dungeons you'd rather never visit. This one is somewhere in the middle, likely due to it being the largest on the planet and nearest to the most populous city in spaceport. Just when Will is talking himself into being semi-okay with the place, he sees a stall advertising young women of a dozen different species. Of course, none are actually in the booth, that'd be too risky. These slaver booths simply promote the goods, take payment, and set up a rendezvous arrangement. Fuming, Will increases his pace until he's past the stall, Zephyr and Maxim trailing behind him. This market is entirely underground. The entrance at the fabric seller's booth had led down a short ramp to what must have been an abandoned mass transit system, or at least part of one. The bulk of the market was set up in what must have once been a large shopping atrium for passengers. Some of the lesser stalls are set up nearer the transit tracks and tunnels.
You know, I've never been to a night market I wasn't raiding,
Zephyr says as they pass a stall selling personal weaponry that's outlawed everywhere the peacekeepers have a say.
It's remarkable how they can be so established.
Will looks back at her. Yeah, you might be surprised how many of these markets have someone in Peacekeeper Command, or for that matter, the GC directly, on speed dial on their wrist comms. This way. He heads down an artificial alleyway created by the back walls of several more permanent stalls. They turn another corner and around a stall that nearly double the size of every other one they've seen, and find themselves in what is signposted as Armament Alley. Will looks up at the sign. Cute. Gabe and Benny have a far easier task than the others. The tech sector is, for one thing, completely legal. For another, Gabe's shopping list isn't that long. They see a storefront advertising exotic parts, and, seeing as an Ankaran raptor is definitely on the exotic side, they decide their odds are better here.
Welcome, my friends, says the shopkeeper, who is also clearly a Braylek.
Oh, Drin, mutters Benny. Gabe looks down at his companion, then back to the shopkeeper.
What can I help you with today?
Since Benny isn't speaking up, Gabe decides to.
We're seeking 3 Type G power regulators and 2 Type 109B thermocouples. Also, if you have them, we are in need of 15 plasma regulators, Type 2.
The shopkeeper beams.
Well, that's quite the shopping list. You've come to the right place. Not many shops have parts for Ankaran ships. A Raptor, I think, yes?
He looks between the robot and the Braylak standing with it, smiling.
You are?
Gabe begins, before Benny cuts Gabe off, raising a hand to silence the robot.
Yeah, our ship is Ankaran. You have the parts we need. So that you know, price is paramount. We don't need shiny and new. Let's see the refurbished stock. Good sir, the shopkeep protests. We only sell top of the...
Benny raises his hand.
Okay, we're leaving. I'm sure there's another shop that has what we need.
As he turns to leave, dragging a confused Gabe with him, the small shopkeep scurries after them, running around to block their exit.
Okay, you clearly know what you're doing. Come on, I'll show you my stock. Let's talk price.
The 3 head to the back of the shop. An immensely confusing, for Gabe, hour later, he and Benny are leaving the shop carrying 4 overstuffed boxes. Benny is beaming and crowing about how great a negotiator he is, and how lucky they are that he was able to get the shopkeep to throw in a brand new protein sequencer with their purchase.
You know how much better this one will work versus the one on the Ghost? I'll finally be able to eat something that doesn't taste like a fart,
Benny exclaims. Gabe looks down at Benny, optic sensors whirring.
I am sure the others will be very pleased.
The past. His days pass quickly. Will spends all of it on the bridge, all of it, that isn't taken up with grabbing something to eat in the kitchen or taking care of other needs in the small head, which he's found it located behind the bridge next to the airlock antechamber. By the time the Reaper enters orbit over Fury, Will has a basic grasp of how to pilot an Ankaran Raptor, which is what he's discovered the Reaper is. though landing on a planet might still be a bit out of his skill set still. Computer, are you able to assist me in landing the ship?
Affirmative.
Comes the emotionless response. Will wonders if the computer realizes how close it is to crashing into a planet and exploding. Good. Please guide me through the process. Take over if I give the command. Is that understood?
Affirmative. Incoming comms from Fury Space Control.
Put them through, audio only. Will would prefer no one know he's the only one on the ship.
This is Fury Space Control, barks a voice. Please state your business.
Though nervous, Will manages to negotiate a landing pad at the low-rent spaceport. He could afford better. The ship's account is fairly healthy, but he doesn't know how long it'll be until he can make more money, or how much it'll take to doctor up some records. The landing goes smoothly, or at least as smoothly as Will could hope for, given that he's never landed a spaceship on an alien planet before. Despite the few bumps and hiccups along the way, and near collision with a bulk freighter, that had resulted in a lot of screaming, both from the freighter and the space control. The spaceport isn't all that impressive, even to Will, who's never been on an alien world before. It's overcrowded, smoggy, and congested, just like Los Angeles. Granted, the occupants are all alien races, tall and short, blue, green, purple, and red, tentacled, multi-limbed, slug-like, and even gelatinous. But otherwise, not really that different. God, am I really getting used to this? Will wonders. Computer, secure the ship, he says as he walks down the boarding ramp. No one allowed on or near until I return. If anyone tries, issue one warning, then fire.
Acknowledged.
The inner doors to the cargo area close behind him. Will wanders the spaceport for a few hours before catching on to how it's set up. There is the obvious surface layout, clothiers, food stalls, technology shops, all in little groupings. But then he starts to see the underlying organization. Thankfully, being a human among beings who either don't know what a human is or do and find it interesting, helps them open up when he asks questions. Another hour of wandering about, and he's knocking on a door to a storefront that looks like it hasn't been occupied in years. The door opens and a small face pokes out.
What do you want?
Your help, Will says. He's not sure this is a good idea, but from what he's been able to piece together, the being behind this door is his best bet for actually surviving the next few weeks. The door opens and Will enters, before it slams shut behind him. As his eyes adjust, he sees that his potential savior is a roughly 4-foot-tall green alien with a big head. The being walks ahead of him through an anteroom which has a shimmering privacy field over the doorway. Beyond is a workshop that puts NASA to shame. There are monitors everywhere and computer consoles of various sizes and shapes. The small being turns. So, what do you want? It points to a stool on the opposite side of the workbench. Will sits down and begins to outline his problem. Easy, the alien says. You got money? This won't be cheap. Also, we'll have to do the last of the work on your ship. Will spends another 3 hours sitting in what the small being, Ben-Ari, he said his name is, called his customer lounge. There's not much to do in this lounge other than sit and watch some alien news channel, which seems to be the only thing, other than porn, that Ben-Ari streams in his little hacker's den. Finally, the alien says, I'm done here. He tosses a bracelet-like thing to Will, who catches it easily. That's a wristcom. I'm sure you saw them on your old crew. When we get to your ship, I'll tie the wristcom to your ship's computer system, after I've changed its name and registration data. The walk back to the spaceport is certainly shorter than Will's original journey. Less than an hour after leaving Ben-Ari's shop, they're in the Reaper's computer access area, located in the engineering space. Ben-Ari is crawling around inside the computer core, while Will sits at a workbench exploring the features of his new wristcom. Hey, human! Ben-Ari calls as he crawls back out of the access space, tablet in hand. What do you want to call the new ship? Will looks around the engineering space. thinking of Jax and Rollo, of Ulgo and Langsham. The two other crew members he never got to know, all of whom died in the Holgian space station. Ghosts who Wil will never forget. Beings who could have killed him when they found him, or left him to die in his pod, but who instead showed him a kindness not common in the galaxy. Ghosts. She's the Ghost. That's her name. Ghost. Ben-Ari nods.
The Ghost. Good name.
He taps on his tablet a few times.
Done.